Are we good? I think my OBS is tracking. It looks like it is, at least in before I cut over. As I said, super scuffed today because it's more so just testing to make sure everything is alive and that my computer doesn't blow up or anything. My OBS doesn't decide to. I don't know. I don't trust it. I haven't done this in years, so we'll see. Anyway, I'll wait for the song to finish because only 10 seconds left anyway. So, plus it's peak. My playlist is the best ever, so you might as well get to finish at least 2 of the songs. Okay, well no, you'll be hearing that today anyway. It's Castle Crashers, so you'll be hearing that, which actually I can just transition there. Okay. So as I stated on Twitter, it is modded. Okay, that seems fine now. It is modded, so it's not. It'll be quite different. I tested it a little bit just to see how it is comparatively, like how different it is. It seems to be fine. I only went up halfway through the game on Red Knight because at least out of the first 4 starting, Red Knight is kind of the strongest, arguably, because you can just stun lock enemies completely and it gets rid of a lot of the challenge. You do need to level them up to like 8 to 10 to be able to really use him. But once he is 10, you're fine. Like, you're not going to lose. You're chilling the entire time. So I thought originally my plan was to do blacksmith because I haven't ever really done a strength build, so to speak. I've only ever done magic and agility, at least starting. But yesterday, as I was playing, I unlocked Conehead, which, well, actually this is Groom, this isn't Conehead because he's in the suit, so I'm going to do the Groom instead, just because I think he's modded. It's been too long since I've played this game, so I don't quite remember. There are certain characters that I would know immediately are modded or not, but he isn't one of them that I know off the top of my head. Oh, man, this game's peak. They are actually releasing a DLC in Uh, is it a month? They're releasing a DLC. I see his magic. Oh. Okay. It's quite close. We'll see though. Maybe I'll do magic on him because I've never used him. Of course. But they are releasing a new DLC for this in about a month, which is very interesting considering the game came out in 2008, if I remember correctly. Xbox 360 arcade days. I remember that. So it's old, but you know, it's still one of the best games you could ever play, and it's like $3 in Steam right now. So you know, if you want to pick it up, probably should. And then obviously the mods are free, but it is a bit more, a tiny bit more complicated than mods than something like Fallout would be. Because with something like Fallout, you just go on Nexus and that's it. You know, you go on Nexus, you install your mod, you install the Vortex mod manager. Most games come with their own specific mod manager as well. That's 10 times better than Vortex, but I don't know if many people ever use them because it's just more convenient to have everything on Vortex. Even though Vortex is complete dog shit, but you know, it is what it is. You do what you can with what's available. On Game Banana, if you want the mods for this, there's not a whole lot of them in terms of like actual big differences. I think there's 5 big ones when I was looking. Most of them are character based, obviously. Either adding more or revamping already existing characters. This one's more of an overhaul than anything. But it seems to be the most enjoyable, and it's the only one I've seen come up on YouTube Shorts other than there was another one called Yellow Knight, but that's, from my understanding, it's literally just one character. So I was like, it doesn't have enough content, you know? It's not different enough for me to mess around with. So I just said, fuck it, I'll go with the Industrial Prince instead. Should I do magic? I don't know, I feel like it'd be interesting to see how his magic gets. But it is super weak, but all the magic is super weak when you start, so I don't know. I mean, magic is the easy way. It's the really easy way, actually. But I don't know. Agility is really easy as well, admittedly, though. You get max agility and you pick up the lollipop that gives you +5. Your bow just becomes a machine gun, and it does like 30-40 damage a hit. So it gets really strong. But I mean, so does magic. So I don't know. Each your own. They should just make a sequel to this, though. Actually, instead of making a DLC, just make a whole new game. I mean, DLC sort of is new. Considering they're redesigning like every character in the game, more or less. The only one who's not getting a redesign, what I've seen, is the peasant. He's staying basically the same. He is still getting a slight overhaul aesthetically, but he does more or less look identical. Which the artist, I think it was Dan Paladin, said himself that he thought the peasant was perfect how it looked, so that's why he didn't really want to change it, which I think is fair. The best looking one though is the Necromancer. I'm just saying. Necromancer looks by far the best. He looks great. Especially because, I'm gonna be honest, before the Necromancer, considering he's basically the big bad of the game, him and the the wizard guy at the start, I can't never remember the name of. They're the big bads, and then a necromancer just looks like shit. He looks like a cone head, except it doesn't turn into a cone, it just stays, so it's a rectangle head. It's stupid. But he has like a scar now and he's glowing, it's cool. It's kind of a shame though, because it would be nice if they actually made something new. Just straight up. Behemoth hasn't really released anything for a while. I know they did Alien Homage HD or whatever the fuck it was called. Revamped, whatever. And then they had the Behemoth game, which just looks like Flappy Bird. More or less. So, I don't know what they're doing. Hopefully they're working on something. But their Steam... I haven't checked like their Twitter or anything, admittedly, but their Steam's pretty dead. It's just Painter's Paradise coming out in... which is DLC to this. Painter's Paradise coming out in a month. Which is, you know, fair enough. It is what they're working on, so... it makes sense that that's what they're shilling. I don't know what they're going to do after that. I did see online that people were saying that Alien Homage to Alien Homage HD, I think it was 20 years apart. So by that logic, we should be getting Castle Crashers HD or the new Castle Crashers, either or, in 3 years. So, you know, that seems logical enough, right? Wait, did I just break him? He can't hit me if I'm in the air. Ah, no, he can't. Fine though, he's one tap. If I stop getting hit, it's fine. There we go. I plan on playing, well, depends on how fast it goes, but I plan on playing up until basically the first half of the game. Well, I'd say more first third, where you get up to the lava. Well, we beat the lava section of the game, and we get the shovel, and if I remember correctly, we get the first golden item to get on the boat. And then I have a video to watch. Sorry for the yawning. A video by Brew to watch, which is, to be fair, it's an old enough one. It's like about 3 months old, and it's the cold case that was solved by some random fucking teenager on, I think it was Reddit. So I don't know. I saw it. I thought it would be interesting. I only started watching Brew as well, like 2 weeks ago. I watched maybe 1 or 2 videos of his, because I looked at this and I was like, ooh, this is interesting. Could be a gold mine. Just have to wait to hold off with the stream content, because nothing's really happening right now. And what I would have loved to do, what would have been the best thing, would be to watch the court case with Ethan Klein and Denims and such. But I heard, I don't know how legitimate sources, but I heard it's not being streamed or recorded. Well, it would be recorded, but it's not going on like YouTube or anything, which is a shame, because that would have been peak content. That would have been so good. I was saying as well, I think ACtron should just go, if it was being live streamed, complete memes and to represent herself. Because we know, deep down, she would do a great job representing herself. I wouldn't make any fuck-ups whatsoever. Maybe he'll change his mind last second in live stream. He'll get permission. I hope he does. But I don't think so. Okay, there we go. There we go, he's dead. Level 5. I have no points invested though. And we're fighting. Yeah. He gets a lot faster as he gets lower health. I'm pretty sure he did that in vanilla. But odd seems to make it that increase a lot higher or more. Yeah, it just makes it a lot more. I only noticed it when he was at like half health when I was fighting him initially. Hey. Yeah, I do see that chat there, but I'm just gonna pause really quick. I see now that it's not actually coming up when it's supposed to, which is great, which is why we have scuff streams. Because we're testing stuff. That's my doc of games I want to play. That's whatever. You can look at it if you want. Because I'm really quickly going to check my what's it called? Social Stream Ninja. So you can look at the Word document if you want. Garden of Peak is ban, by the way. Because I saw it and I thought it'd be really interesting because it's so stupid, basically. I thought it'd be interesting to actually look at. Okay. It says it's connected, but I don't believe it. So, that's great. I'll send a test message, just double check. If the test message goes through and then this doesn't. Okay, it's now okay. It's working. Perfect. Amazing. Yeah, literally first. Why? Okay, I was freaking out now because I saw it was a black screen on the other one and it wasn't opening. I was like, everything's breaking. Yeah, as the title says, it's a scuff stream. So the initial idea was to start with Grounded 2. Mainly just because I wanted, first stream something new. But I thought, the more I thought about it, the more I was like, if I'm gonna fuck up, I would want to fuck up on something else. So, and this is the Industrial Prince mod. So there are some differences. It is it's close enough to the same though. Just some enemy magic is different, and there's 8 new characters, I think it is, but almost all of them are only unlocked through insane mode, so they don't really, you won't be seeing them unless I really sweat this out on stream, which I might, but that would be much later. That'd be when we're out of everything else. He is a bit faster than normal as well. Did make the boss slightly harder, or all the bosses slightly harder, but to be honest, actually, like, vanilla Castle Crasher bosses are really easy, so it's fine. At worst, they're annoying. Yeah, you can change that in the settings. There's a section I can show after this fight. There's a special set of settings on the campaign screen, and if you want to go back to like original, because it changes some of the enemy magic and stuff. So if you want to go back to the original enemy magic, original character magic and such, health bar is one of the options as well. I have, unless they've changed it, I have mine set to extra large. It's literally just small or large, so. Yeah, the mod is, if you want to install it, it's on Game Banana. I picked Castle Crashers for the Nintendo Switch though. I would say you could probably mod it, but I wouldn't trust modding a Nintendo product. I'm really, well, I wouldn't say I'm anti-Nintendo per se, but I just really don't trust touching anything Nintendo. Like emulate anything, I don't fuck with it. Like, if you so much as think of the word Nintendo, you...
When I'm with you, I'm throbbing like never before, and I don't need my heart!
Thanks, that is a lot louder than I thought it would be. I will turn that down a tiny bit, because that was... It's strange how chats... Yeah, actually... I apologize. I don't know if you watch Blue Lock. I kind of... It's very obscure. Well, not Blue Lock. The audio itself is quite obscure. Yeah, if you don't play on... Or if you didn't watch Blue Lock, it'll make no sense whatsoever. If you did watch it, it makes only a little bit of sense. I'm going to go pure magic because I think it'd be interesting to see what his magic is like. The Groom. Saw it a while ago, so does that mean you saw season 2 or not? Not NEL. NEL is after season 2. The U20s game. I was trying to think of what it was called. So all of the modded settings are over here. Yeah, character select. I don't know why this is here, to be honest, because you could just go out to the menu. It's kind of worthless. Credits. Yeah, this is just the quaff and the volleyball, which I don't... It's cool that it's there, but edit modded saves is just... It'll bring you all to the main menu again. It's just if you want to reset your character data. So, I guess for the Super Sweats who've beaten the game, and they have level 99 characters and such, it's just if they want to go back to the start, which I don't know why you would, and I accidentally clicked on my other monitor, great. I don't know why you would, personally, but, and then there's the actual settings, which is this. Okay, it did change it back. This one I actually like a lot, the autofill. So if you get a potion or you get a bomb or whatever, every time you leave the map, it'll go back up to max capacity without you having to run into the shop and buy each potion and each bomb and each sandwich individually. It just auto purchases. And then the potions, yeah, if you get to 1 health or you get to 0 health, it pops. So you don't even have to hover over. Oh yeah, turn DPS tracker on, and yeah, you can see the old magic and the old player magic. I like to keep the new one on, just because I play this game so much on my Xbox when I actually used to play on the console. And there is... Oh yeah, well this is just lore. Yeah, great. Run. Yeah, there's a little bunker there that I played around with when I was a Red Knight. I should be able to go into it. Yeah, it's just a little character editor. So you can add like flags and wings and shit. Which I actually... Yo, that's kind of drippy. Patty, none. It's modded, yeah. It's cool. There's only like big mods. There's, if I remember correctly, there's 3. There's this one, which is the Industrial Prince. There's one with playable bosses, so you can play as the Cyclops, as the Corn, as any boss, as far as I know. Other than, I think, the Sock Puppet Dragon, obviously, because, you know, how would you move that around? And then there was another one that added, it said 36 characters, but I think it said 36, but it showed 2 of each, so I think it's more so as it's adding 18 characters, but there's a male and female. Oh yeah, you're good. I can equip pets and shit anyway while I'm waiting. Yeah, I really need to get through this game like 2 or 3 times to unlock shit. What does my sword even do again? I know what a shock, but stat-wise, 2 agility. Oh, it's not that useful. Well, to the current build, it's not that useful. 2 magic, minus 1 defense. It's been so long since I checked these, man. 1 strength. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's kind of what I assumed. It just gets longer. I'm gonna pick up a pet in a second anyway, so. Okay, is the damage? It's fine. Kind of makes sense that it's not amazing. Okay, that is nice though, actually. As a squad wiping, or as a mass wiping spell, it's quite nice. Whoa, can I snipe the... Okay. Can I snipe behind you, please? Okay, that works. Nope, fuck off. No! I need to get a shovel and play through the whole game again. Insane mode is what that's for. I do know there are some secret weapons hidden in those big spots. They did? Yep. See? Okay. There is something here. Oh, it's the part. Okay. That didn't happen. No one saw that. I already have that weapon. I don't know why I opened that chest. Okay, thanks, bro. Okay, stop. Hey. It is, I know it's in the title, it is modded. It's Industrial Prince mod 5.0 to be specific, but that's just the newest one, so. I suppose I'll equip him just for this. You'll be getting the Painter's Paradise DLC when that comes out. I do think it is interesting that they decided to add a new DLC to this game after, what, 15 years? Effectively an entire remake of the game. Well, remake from a perspective of art and such. Although it is also kind of surprising that that idea wasn't in the game from the beginning, because it's an arcade game, so like making your own character is pretty common in arcade games. So it is somewhat confusing to me that they didn't think of that originally, but better late than never. Troll mother, can you get out, please? Thank you. I need to abuse the air mechanics if I can hit you. There we go. Only situation where Orange Knight is actually good. Well, I should be saying that about Green Knight. Green Knight is actual just dog shit. It's not as bad as Grey Knight though. Okay. Oh yeah, this scene has changed. Stomping's being picked up by Mike, that's great. Yeah, I have a gun. I have to shoot targets. So, stay back a bit. It's literally, it's a gun. So I should pay attention to where they're lining up and when, and just spam back. Both light and heavy, just do a signal shot, so it's fine. Nope, nothing there. Preemptively just fire. Don't think it makes a difference. I don't. Yeah, you can't jump on those. So, offer. Great. I have full health though. Silver lining. This section is so shit. The boss itself is fine. It's boring to get to it. What's the boss's name again? Something Pipistrella, isn't it? Or is that Pit People? No, Pipistrella is Pit People, so it's fine. It'll say it in the name anyway. After I beat the stage, I can check. Fast, no. Amazing. So bad at this game. It's fine, it's already been, how old was I when I played this last? Like 14, I think, so. It's only been like 5 years, give or take. Here we are. And then you just hold. Well, you hit the fur ball, and then you hold. Okay, it hits 3 times, I thought it would. Just keep bosses on. Okay, hold on. Hold again. No! We're in a bad spot. It's all good though. Oh, might not be good. Hold on. Ah, okay. Now we're good. Maybe. We'll see. Just spam block. I don't want to lose my log. That was a bad play on my half. Bro's camping me. Oh, the magic is 3, even when he's defensive. Oh, not terrible. This should be the last cycle anyway. Is he done? Yeah. Then just wait. Oh. This game's music is just underrated. I think that's just because I come from the Flash generation. Pure magic, of course. Catfish. No, he has a name. Yeah, I know. What's his name? Okay, we'll never know. Irrelevant, I suppose. Got longer, didn't it? Yeah. It's in Magic Triple X widened. Something like that. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Oh, I see. I was kind of confused there for a second. It's all good though. We got it to work. I don't know if I prefer it though. Oh, it actually relies on my sword stats. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Boss is after this. Well, mini boss is after this, isn't it? And if I was Red Knight, they would have been in a stun lock. It would have been great. Let's see if I can get him in a stun lock, actually. Nope. So what's the point of that magic? Seems to be worthless. Get some chip damage and that's all. Oh, his ram hit me. Okay. I was confused for a second. Okay, just try and stun lock him. He is a pain to fight. Okay, well, hitting him once doesn't count as a stun lock, but A for effort. Get shit on. Get shit on. Great, now new ones here. I can just have to hard focus him. I would use a shield, but like that's kind of, you know, it's kind of for pussies. Especially since I have auto potions, so. Can I stand? Thank you. And oh. Okay, wait. That was huge. And that took far. Oh yeah, that took far longer than it should have. You die? Thank you. Ram actually came in clutch for the first time ever in all my time playing this game. Ram doesn't do shit. Okay. He was so low, Ram probably could have just killed him, but I wasn't waiting for all that. I imagine I could just snipe you. Brother, what? Oh, okay. We have 2. If you get 2 in the sky, you can basically just fly. Or you can die, that works too. Okay, we're good. Frost King, I hate him so much. That fight is just ass. You're just walking. It's like Death Stranding at a boss fight. Like, you just walk right, shield up, block the arrows. The only silver lining here is that the actual the boss itself, the bat, is pretty fucking easy to kill, to be honest. The bat doesn't put on much of a fight. His blobs do, he doesn't. Oh! I didn't... Oh. That's interesting. So I have the orchestra, the harps, whatever they're called, they use playing. I suppose piano that he plays. Whatever, doesn't matter. See what I mean? He just kind of sits there and lets you beat the shit out of him. Oh, fuck. Okay, I can't die after I just said of how easy you were. Okay, well it seems he's unlocked himself, so that's fine. That works. Yep, and then the king and the two grey knights come out here pretending like they did anything. It's like when you play that one teammate on literally any game ever. You do like 6 billion damage, 0 kills. They have fucking 10,000 kills and 0 damage. It's like, oh yeah, I did all the work. No, you didn't. You snaked the kills. I am still to this day mad about stuff like that. I don't hold many grudges, but stealing kills, that's a grudge I hold. Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's what I expected magic-wise. So is this just... Okay, no, that magic is actually worthless. That one's... interesting. What the fuck? Should I... I don't think I should be on this. Okay. Fuck it. I'm Weebald. Oh. 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 I don't think I should be able to do that. That's quite interesting. Is that just the bats? Or bees, even? More or less. It's harder to juggle real enemies. I can get an achievement here. Hold on. I need to launch at max charge. Oh, fuck yeah. I wonder will they replace the groom? Probably not. But you know, just since I'm the groom, I'm playing as the boss, potentially. Okay. Kind of mixing myself up with all these home heads, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not used to playing the enemies. Even in vanilla, I just stick with the knights for the most part. Like, I have them unlocked, all the characters, but I just never use them, apart from Industrialist. But that's because Industrialist is just so broken in the base game. It's insane. Like, there was no balancing that went into him. Or, I think the Fencer has the same magic, doesn't he? Which is the main reason why the Industrialist is so broken. His magic is just unbelievable. But you unlock the Industrialist first, if I remember correctly. If you just let me sit back here and spam my magic, we're good. I mean, 34 isn't a whole lot of damage, but it's enough. Okay, now I'm just getting bodied. Thank you. Look at all my little grey knights. Oh no, it's me! Except I have Necromancer wings, but that's neither here nor there. Level 12. That should be max magic now, right? Is that a bot? Well, obviously it's bot with the name, but is it promoting view botting? Alright. Interesting. All my shit here. How many is there? 5? Yeah, 5. Wait a minute. He has 4 magics. So he's on par with Hattie. Hattie's magic isn't great either. It's just he's the only, well, he's the only character with 4 different magics. Which is cool because he has the most magics of any character technically, but also he has some of the worst magic. But also it's Hattie, so it's fine. We let it ride. Okay, Bat had 3 in my jump combo, but no. I say that like I'm going to replace him either. I'm not going to, I'm too lazy. If I went into a store and bought one, I'd change him that way, but I'm not going to go out of my way. Can you stop? to go out of my way to change him. Oh, boss time, I think. Yeah. I recognize the seats. Okay, kid, hold on. The first time I did this, it was with Red Knight. I just put him in a stun lock till he died. Oh, you have arrow magic. That's lovely. After this, well, actually not after this fight, unless I die. If I die, then after this fight. But if not, there's one more level. I want to check something, so I'll have to alt-tab for a second so we close the game. Well, we'll close it, but you won't be able to see it. You know what? Close enough to a stun lock. Not quite Red Knight, but still works. That? Yeah, he's stuck. How? What the fuck? I could kind of hit him. Okay, he entered a domain expansion for a second. I don't know what. Kid. Oh, I got too early. Oh, that was such a bad cycle. I hit him, what, twice? Okay, bro. Come on. You rolled into it. What a G. Okay. Unless I get a really shit cycle, this should be the last run. Where's the other clone head? Oh, he's entered his domain again. Sir? Are those gonna hit him? Yeah, they will. Huge. Get out of there. Is he dead? Nice. Oh, bro, what? Come on, that was cheap. Stop. Chill the fuck out, bro. Come on. No. Okay, it's fine. I actually just can't see. I win. Bro. What is that? Actually 1 health? Oh. Okay. That was pure luck that I killed him. Because he was going way too fast to keep up with. Deep lore. We have to go help the hoe. Luckily this is easy enough. Takes like 2 attacks, everything dies. Just have to knock them off. You can actually kill them if you want, but other than XP, there's no reason to. Which you will get enough XP throughout the game, so like, who cares? Okay. Come on, where's the troll? That thief just need to try. Okay, that one did. Loser. Have fun. Did he just tank my shot and then shoot me off? How dare you? We go in here. We fight some coneheads and some blobs and some thieves and some rapscallions. And then we win. No, no, no. Conehead, no. Yeah, I forgot who they send in here. The only advantage about there being so many enemies is I don't even have to aim, really. I'm going to hit something. Come on. 96. I don't know where that came from. Two hits from him, maybe? No, one. One more wave, yeah. Then we get the body, the Cyclops. I mean, this magic is cool, but it is quite blinding. Zero health? Nah, that's fine. Is it not this? Okay, I'm slightly misremembering this area. This one I'm aware of. There's 3 zones. This one I do vaguely remember. Oh! Okay. I flew. I'll check the store real quick. And then I need to check something in my other tab. What? Oh, I'm not level. I am level 10. Oh, I already own it. Probably why I can't buy it. Take him. I'll switch my weapon before I forget, and then I will check. I need to check something. No, the magic one's all the way down here. Okay, those two, I don't know. Oh, are these just some modded ones? Oh, you can go in his ass. Interesting. Okay, then you're going to see my Word document of games I'll be playing in the future. It's crazy. Okay. So, my plan was to play Castle Crashers for about an hour. I'm actually going to save. Hold on. And then to react to this, I'll just exit the map the correct way so that it saves properly. No, that's merch. Well, there's Behemoth merch if you want to buy it. Not that I think any of you are going to buy Behemoth merch because of this, but you know. Crazy how Twitch is just letting bots spam. Like, I know it must be relatively difficult to keep them in check, so to speak. Because obviously you're not going to be able to have every bot banned. Like, you're not going to be able to ban them immediately. You wouldn't know until they say something. But it is weird. I do remember once, it was on an alt, not this one. I had like I was checking through my Twitch like report or whatever, the stream report to see, and I saw that I had at one point I had 10 concurrent viewers, and I was like, the fuck. I feel like I would have remembered that. And I looked at their names, and I looked because one of them did say something, and I was like, I just got spammed by 10 bots simultaneously. Like, surely that's not efficient. If you're going to bot, does it make sense to do the same person 10 times? But whatever. I mean, if they want to waste resources on spamming like me and they're not spamming someone else, I mean, it works. It's fine. It's a bit strange. Anyway, the 57-year-old cold case. And the first comment is a bot. Speaking of, is her not to hear? I was going to say, is it the one Voice Critical was talking about? Like, Oh, it'd been a month ago now, isn't it? Yeah, weird. I mean, I get it. Bots are really hard to regulate properly, but like you have to have some parameters other than, I don't know, just wishful thinking. It seems it's kind of up to the streamer to take care of bots, like only verified accounts can comment or such. Anyway,
On March 18th, 1964, just after 1 p.m.,
okay, hold on. We're gonna take notes. 1964. So basically, you could get away with anything because fucking nothing existed. What are they going to track you on? Your phone doesn't exist. You know what I mean? So off rip, I'm going to guess that's how it was a cold case. Because they you know, it's 1964. They have no info. Okay.
a 38-year-old man named Arthur Robinson drove his
Arthur Robinson sounds like a fucking porn name. It sounds okay. Whatever.
car down a dirt path
Experiencing interruptions. Thank you, YouTube. I love you so much.
off of Hazleton Municipal Airport Road in the Millsville area, just northwest of the airport. The path led to an abandoned strip mine turned dumping ground. Robinson was there to dump ashes, but when he parked, stepped out, and walked to the edge of the embankment, he saw something 26 feet down amidst the garbage. A small, lifeless body.
So someone murdered someone and then just fucks their corpse into a canyon. Okay. Okay.
Robinson didn't dump the ashes. He immediately got back in his car and drove straight home to call the Pennsylvania State Police. When authorities arrived at the stripping pit to investigate, what they saw, I do not wish to describe. The remains were identified to be that of Maurice Chivarala, a 9-year-old girl who had gone missing earlier that day.
Oh. Okay.
Dr.
So it was, what, a same day killing if she went missing earlier the day?
Julius Folds, the pathologist at Hazleton State General Hospital, later performed the autopsy and concluded that the body had been violated and that the cause of death was asphyxiation by strangulation.
Lovely.
Investigators needed to find whoever did this as soon as possible before they acted again.
Well, yeah, obviously.
This manhunt would involve over
I would hope so.
250 investigators who traveled
Sorry,
tens
how many?
of
250?
Investigators needed to find whoever did this as soon as possible before they acted again. This manhunt would involve over 250 investigators
Over, so 251. Understood.
who traveled tens of thousands of miles and interviewed more than 9,000 people. Along the way, they would uncover a
Interviewed more than 9,000. How would you think of people to interview for something like this? Like, you have nothing to go off of other than, I guess, maybe friends of the kid, friends of the family, and the general town, I suppose. But even then, that couldn't be more than like 200-300, unless you're interviewing every single person in the town.
disturbing number of predators.
And obviously the guy who found the body.
Each seemingly capable of the crime. But no definitive evidence pointed to which one was actually responsible for Maurice's death. For nearly 60 years, the murder of Maurice Chivarala remained in the shadows, unresolved. Even as notorious killers like the Golden State Killer and BTK were brought to
I
justice.
have no idea who these are. I'm not deep into the. I'm not one of them serial killer girlies. I don't fucking know who these are.
As it would turn out, during the 6-decade-long investigation, detectives had in fact crossed paths with the man they were searching for, but they didn't realize it. That was until the case was
He was one
cracked
of
by
us.
a teenager with an extraordinary mind for puzzles who saw what no one else could.
Oh my god, it
And
was
thanks
pirate
to him,
software.
Maurice's family would finally have justice. Maurice Ann Chivarala was born on Thanksgiving Day, 1954, in
Oh, wow.
Waterloo, New York. She was the daughter of Carmen and Mary Chivarala. The Chivaralas had 5 children.
Are you
Their
all wearing the same pair of glasses? What the fuck?
home was a small duplex at 533 Alter Street, right next to the Little Market, a humble corner grocery store that Carmen owned and operated. Maurice, even at just 9 years old, helped
That
her
looks like
dad
a
at the
vibe.
store, stocking items, handing out change,
Although,
and
why would you fill baskets and put on top of shelves? That doesn't make sense. That's fucking stupid. If you want to get the basket, you're gonna have the stuff's gonna fall out of it, you know? Like, it's I don't know. It's a bit stupid. The basket should be down here on the floor. And there seems to be a lot of jam for whatever reason.
and always greeting customers with a quiet, shy smile. She was small, barely 50 pounds, but fast and efficient. A little mother, her relatives called her, because she was also constantly helping around the house. As a student at St. Joseph's Parochial School, Maurice attended Mass every day. She was a member of the
I don't. Mass is another word for church. Just to clarify, I don't know if it's really called mass in many other parts of the world. I know we call it mass in Ireland, but I don't know. He's saying mass, so I'm assuming they call it mass in the States as well. But to clarify,
Junior Catholic Daughters of America, and when she played dress-up at home, it wasn't as a princess or a movie star.
but as the Virgin Mary.
It was as a nun, hands clasped, a piece of cloth draped over her head. Her dream was to join the church. Her brother Ronald would later say she was always smiling. Her aunt called her an angel. To everyone who knew her, she was the picture of innocence, quiet, thoughtful, and kind. On the morning of March 18th, 1964, when the streets of Hazleton, Pennsylvania were just beginning to stir, Maurice was getting ready for school. But that day wasn't just any other. It was a feast day, a celebration for one of the nuns at her school, and
What the fuck? Is this canned everything? Okay. I don't know if I'd want tomatoes with my grapes, but all right.
Maurice had packed 2 cans of fruit to bring as a gift. Normally, she walked to school with her brother and sister, but not today. She wanted to be early so she could deliver her gift before the 8 a.m. Mass. She's afraid of dogs, which is one of the reasons she never walks alone. But today, she wants to be brave, just so she can show her appreciation to her teacher. So, for the first
Okay.
time, she left home on her own. But she would never make it to school, and Hazleton would never be the same again. The news of Maurice's murder shook the entire town of Hazleton to its core. Crowds poured into Bonin Funeral Home. Hundreds came to pay their respects. The Junior Catholic Daughters gathered to say the rosary for her. Her classmates, teachers, and parish families from Most Precious Blood Church showed up for the funeral mass. As the small white coffin was carried up the aisle, her mother, Mary, wept into Carmen's arms. Before the coffin was closed for the final time, she bent down and gave her daughter one last kiss. Corporal Barron put it simply, whether you liked it or not, the way you lived changed after March 18th, 1964 in Hazleton. Robert
Makes
Gillespie,
sense,
who
yeah.
served as Luzerne County District Attorney in the 80s, was just a high school student at the time of the murder, but even then, he could feel it, how the fear spread through the city like smoke.
feel it.
I remember everyone talking about it. At school, in the neighborhoods, parents were just going crazy with worry about their kids, he said.
Well, yeah, obviously. I would hope so, to be honest. I hope they're kind of worried, but okay.
And that never really went away. This was the first crime of this kind in Hazleton history, and for many people in town,
Greater
it
Hazleton,
shattered
Hazleton is just like the DLC. This is the premium section.
the illusion of safety. The belief that that kind of thing doesn't happen here. But after this, parents started walking their children to school more often. Doors locked before sundown. Community groups were formed specifically to protect children. Police patrols around schools increased, and over time, it became clear that Maurice's murder had forever shifted the tone of the town. During the start of the manhunt for Maurice's killer, police began canvassing the area. They questioned everyone. They conducted door-to-door interviews throughout Maurice's neighborhood.
Oh shit, they actually did question the whole town. Okay.
They checked known offenders. They pulled absentee lists from the senior high school and spoke with students across Hazleton. Every girl was asked, "Have any strangers ever approached you since school began this year?" Police traced the route Maurice would have walked. The last confirmed sighting was by her cousin, Miss Helen Slattery, who had seen her walking eastbound on 4th Street. Just
Slattery. It's an Irish name. Okay. Interesting.
west of North Church Street at about 8:10 a.m. That's roughly 5 minutes after she left home. Her brother and sister had left only a few minutes after her, and somehow that was enough for them to never see her again. Was it someone passing through town? Or worse, a local? Someone who knew the area well, knew about the strip mine, knew when children walked to school. Potentially, someone Maurice might have trusted.
I mean, to be fair, when it comes to knowing when children walk to school, I feel like that's pretty easy to figure out. As in, like, just when does school start? Oh, 8 a.m. Okay. So you'd hover around 8 a.m. You know what I mean? You don't need to be a genius to figure that part out.
Or at least not feared. On March 24th, 1964, less than a week after Maurice's murder, Scranton police took in a 44-year-old man named Sam Levine on a vagrancy charge. He had wandered into the station looking for a place to sleep and casually mentioned he was originally from Hazleton. That was enough to raise alarms. When questioned by both local
okay.
and state police...
Wait, yeah, where is Hazleton? New Britain? What the fuck? Okay, well, it's not here. There are some stupid names though. Allentown, Carbondale. Alright, boys. White Plains.
Levine claimed he had been in Glen Cove, New York the day Maurice's body was found. Still, authorities weren't quick to dismiss him. He was held in the Lackawanna County Jail for 30 days while
That doesn't look like a jail. That's like a church.
investigators combed through his background. Levine, who lived in a shack, made ends meet by washing cars and had spent time in psychiatric institutions in Long Island.
Oh,
but
lovely.
after an exhaustive review, nothing connected him to the crime.
So he's the average Twitter
Then, in the
user.
early hours of March 25th, 1964, West Hazleton police apprehended a man prowling near the Valmont area. A suspected peeping Tom, later identified as Thomas D. Haynes. A truck driver from Toledo, Ohio, picked up near Susquehanna Boulevard. Haynes claimed he was
Forbidden
just
State.
walking around, but the police weren't taking any chances. He was questioned and turned over to state investigators. Haynes insisted he had been out of state, driving routes in Ohio and Missouri on the day of Maurice's murder.
I mean,
That
if he was
alibi-
a truck driver, I feel like that'd be pretty easy to figure out. Just check his schedule with his boss.
I was checked and confirmed.
Yeah.
Though he pleaded guilty to the prowling charge and was fined, there was no link to Maurice's case. Another shadowy figure, interrogated, fingerprinted, and ultimately released. Then, on March 27th, 1964, just 9 days after Maurice Chivarala's murder, police arrested 35-year-old Albert R. Dennis in Palmerton after a disturbing eyewitness report. He had been approaching young girls on the street, asking them for directions to a nearby nudist colony. One of those girls came forward, triggering
Okay.
Dennis's arrest on morals charges. He hadn't shown up for work the day of the murder, which deepened suspicion. But when questioned in connection to Maurice's case, Dennis had an alibi, and it held up. His brother posted his $2,000 bail, and though his actions were unsettling to say the least, Dennis was officially
Not
cleared.
illegal,
Then,
yeah.
on April 1st, 1964, 2 weeks after Maurice's murder, police brought in 29-year-old Bruce Edward Hildebrand, a former restaurant dishwasher, after he had confessed to killing Maurice Chivarala. At first, it seemed credible. He knew details like the clothing she was wearing at the time and what school she attended. But
That's kind of sus.
that information had already been published in the papers. Investigators were
Oh,
cautious.
so he just okay. Never mind.
They let him go, but kept him under surveillance. Days later, Hildebrand was picked up again, this time for being drunk and disorderly. Behind
Amazing.
the outburst was something darker. Hildebrand was deeply depressed, and later admitted that he didn't kill Maurice. He just wanted to die. Too afraid to take his own life, he believed a murder conviction would land him on death row. A lie detector test confirmed his confession was false. It was a
To be fair, lie detector tests are notoriously shit. It's kind of like BMI. I mean, for the vast majority of the population, I guess it would work, but for the people you'd actually kind of want it to work on the most, it doesn't really. Like, lie detectors, if I remember correctly, all they do is just, they monitor your heart rate, isn't it? So the idea is, if you lie, your heart rate will increase because you feel bad about lying, I guess. But like actual sociopaths, if they just said, oh yeah, I murdered someone or I didn't murder someone, their heart rate's not going to change. At least change substantially to the point where it can be picked up. So yeah, they don't really work from what I know. Even to this day, they're still kind of shit.
Another disheartening moment in a case that seemed full of them, where grief echoed not only from the victim's family, but sometimes from the broken people caught in the margins. Then, on April 2nd, 1964, just over 2
but
weeks
where's our
after
Reddit
Maurice
superhero?
Chivarala's murder, another young girl had a chilling encounter. A 14-year-old female Millsville resident was walking to meet a friend near Route 309 when she spotted a man standing by a utility pole. He moved toward her, grabbed her by the shoulders, and told her, "Don't get shook up." But the girl fought back. She slapped his face, kicked him, and ran, screaming, until she reached a neighbor's home. She reported her attacker as a man with light curly hair wearing a zipper jacket, but he vanished before police could arrive. The attack happened just blocks from where Maurice's body had been found. Some wondered, was this the same man striking again, or just a terrifying coincidence? Then, on April 6, 1964, just days after that attack, police made an arrest. 20-year-old Robert William Joseph Frederick Jr., a Hazleton local, was taken into custody. He matched the girl's description, light curly hair, a zipper jacket, and lived just behind St. Joseph's School, where Maurice had once studied. He pleaded guilty to grabbing the girl by the shoulders and was charged with assault and battery. But as more details emerged, the story changed. Frederick later explained he had gone to Milnesville to meet his girlfriend. When she canceled, he mistook the 14-year-old for her and allegedly followed her to try to explain.
All right. I feel like there's another issue there. My girlfriend looks like a 14-year-old. Okay. That's cool, I guess.
She, understandably terrified, fled. Though his actions were strange, the Luzerne County Grand Jury ultimately cleared him. No connection to Maurice's death was ever found. It was a case of mistaken identity at the worst possible moment, when a grieving town was desperate for justice and suspicion was thick in the air. Then, on April 14, 1964, nearly a month after Maurice's murder, police arrested 40-year-old Matthew Douglas, someone who lived disturbingly close to the Chivarala home. His address, 655 Alter Street, the same street Maurice lived on. Douglas had just pleaded guilty to morals charges involving two young Hazleton boys, ages 10 and 11. Given the nature of his crime and his proximity to the victim, police moved quickly. He was questioned at length about his whereabouts on March 18th, the day Maurice disappeared. But despite the timing and location, Douglas provided an alibi that held up under scrutiny. He was sent to Luzerne County Prison on his original, but investigators found no link between him and Maurice's murder. Still, the arrest shook the community. Just how many disturbed individuals were lurking in their town?
Yeah, how many pedophiles?
The answer, far more than they had ever imagined. On May 19th, 1964, nearly 2 months after Maurice Chivarala was killed, Pennsylvania State Police released the first composite sketch of a man they...
He looks like a fucking skinwalker. What the white male build... What the fuck does build medium mean? Weight 145-ish. 5'8". What? Okay. Comp male. Cheekbones stand out. Cheeks sunken. That's a zombie, bro. Sorry, that's not a human.
They believed could be connected to her disappearance. The sketch was based on eyewitness reports of a white male, balding, thin, with a sunken face and a sharp...
So it's Asmongold if Asmongold caught his hair. Or Tectone. Tectone had some hair.
Expression. He was seen around 8 a.m. on the morning Maurice vanished, driving south on Vine Street, turning left onto 4th, then parking between Sherman Court and Church Street. That's the last stretch Maurice was known to have walked. The timing was eerie, the location exact, and this man vanished. Police urged anyone who recognized him to come forward. Then, on May 20th, 1964, just a day after the release of the first suspect sketch, Pennsylvania State Police published another. Witnesses reported seeing a man between 8:45 and 9 o'clock a.m. on the morning Maurice was killed, driving a light green, older model car down a dirt road leading away from the very site where her body was discovered hours later. The man was described as white, middle-aged, with a round, fleshy...
So he's anywhere from a... Okay, he's a white male. That's basically all we've established so far. And he's probably balding. He's wearing a hat. So, I mean, let's be honest. If you're wearing a snapback, you're probably balding. If you're wearing a beanie, it's kind of either or. Actually, I feel like most people who wear beanies have longer hair, because it kind of looks shit if you're bald. But yeah, no, he's balding.
Brown and graying hair, and wearing glasses and a cap. The timing, the location, the path. it all aligned too closely. For investigators, this man wasn't just a driver. He might have been the last person to leave that desolate road before it became a crime scene. Released on May 22nd, 1964, the third sketch in the Maurice Chivarala investigation depicted another
for
man
fuck's sake.
wanted for questioning, not for loitering, but for something far more disturbing. According to police, this man had entered a woman's home near Maurice's neighborhood under the pretense of helping her, but once inside, he attempted
Helping
to
her
force
with
himself
what?
on her. She escaped, reported the incident, and later saw him again, still lingering in the same area just days later. He was described as white, around
also looks
25
like a
years
skinwalker.
old, slender but not thin, neatly dressed, soft-spoken, and clean-cut. On the surface, he looked ordinary, but his actions
doesn't.
suggested
What?
something darker. The incident set yet another ripple of fear through the community. Was this yet another unrelated predator in a town? Or could he be the one they were looking for? All they could do was wait and hope that time would tell. The fourth and final composite sketch released on May 22nd, 1964, featuring a man whose presence felt more deliberate,
what the
more
fuck?
practiced. Witnesses reported seeing him every morning for 2 weeks, parked in the same faded black Chevrolet along 4th Street between Sherman Court and Church Street, the same stretch where Maurice Chivarala was last seen alive. He was described as a white male, middle-aged, with a rough, lined face, graying brown hair, and the build of a heavy-set working man, shabby in
What does-
appearance.
what-
His unsettling routine
Okay.
continued until March 18th. That day, he was in his usual spot, watching, and by the afternoon, Maurice was gone, and the Watcher never seen again. This
The
made him
Watcher.
one of the most
Ooh,
quietly
spooky.
unsettling figures in the investigation. Then, on July 6th, 1964, nearly 4 months after Maurice Chivarala's murder, another young girl, just 9 years old, narrowly escaped what could have been a second tragedy. While walking alone on Carbon Street in Freeland, the child was
Carbon
approached
Street?
by a man
Okay.
who pulled his black Chevrolet to the curb. She ran fast east on Carbon Street toward Washington, looking back only once to see the car speeding away. She told police the man was short, fat, wore glasses, and was middle-aged. A description matched that sketch number 2, the man seen driving away from the abandoned strip mine in a similar black car. No one else eyewitnessed the attempt. No license plate, no name. Just the voice of a girl who potentially had narrowly avoided sharing the same fate as Maurice Chivarala. On May 13th, 1964, the investigation into Maurice Chivarala's murder took a chilling and irreversible
When I'm with you, I'm throbbing like never before, and I don't need my heart.
was found
Why does
dead
it sound
under
so scuffed? It
suspicious
was working fine earlier.
circumstances. He lived just over a block from the Chivarala home. Nicholas had been questioned early in the investigation after reportedly exposing himself to children on multiple occasions. During his interview with police, Nicholas initially claimed he hadn't left the house the morning Maurice disappeared. But then, he slipped. Casually, he commented on how cold it had been outside that morning, a detail he shouldn't have known unless he had been out there. Investigators asked him to come back in to take a lie detector test. Nicholas agreed.
Would you stop with the lie detectors? They don't work. I know it's 1964 and you know nothing, but like, come on, man. Lie detectors don't work. That's just they don't work.
But on the day of the
I'm
test,
trying.
he never showed up. Instead, police found him slumped inside his car, dead from carbon monoxide poisoning. He had rigged the exhaust pipe to funnel directly into the cabin. To many on the investigative team, it felt like a confession. A man on the brink of being exposed, choosing death over accountability.
I wouldn't be too sure.
But without the lie detector test, a confession, or any direct physical evidence, there was nothing prosecutors could do.
Yeah, it's
Harold
actually
Nicholas
just
became
sourced my
both the
ass.
most suspicious figure in the case and the one who got away. He seemed to be the closest they had come to catching Maurice's killer, and in just about the most suspicious way possible, he vanished forever. Then, on August 25th, 1964, 5 months after Maurice Chivarala's death, police pursued a lead that took them far from Hazleton to Uniontown, Pennsylvania. There, a man named Robert Engler had walked into a police station and confessed to killing a 15-year-old girl in Chicago. Given the brutality of the
okay.
crime and his willingness to admit guilt, investigators couldn't ignore the possibility that he might also be tied to the Chivarala case. A Hazleton detective was dispatched to question him, but after a full interview, the results were clear. Engler had never set foot in Hazleton. He had no connection to Maurice, her family, or the town. His confession was real, but it belonged to a different crime. For Maurice's case, it was yet another door that opened only to slam shut in the investigators' faces. Then, on March 12, 1965, nearly a year after Maurice Chivarala's death, state police followed up on yet another lead. This one from a psychiatric facility. A patient there claimed he had taken a religious medallion from the child's body. Investigators knew that this had not been reported in the papers, and Maurice's parents even confirmed she had owned a medallion like the one the patient had described in detail. However, they also revealed that Maurice hadn't worn it the day she left home for the last time. The chain had broken, and she'd left it at home where it was still in the family's possession. While this was one of the more eerie leads in the case, all it proved to be was a reminder that not every confession of guilt is genuine. Nevertheless, no matter how wild the claim, no matter how unreliable its source, each one had to be checked. Because in a case this unresolved, any detail might lead them closer to catching the killer who, as far as they knew, was still out there. In 1985, more than 2 decades after Maurice's murder, a suspect surfaced. Chester Conrad, a 59-year-old.
At what point do detectives just give up and just completely close the case? Like, I would imagine it has to be case by case. But it's now been 20 years and they're still finding suspects. I don't know, boys. I would say after 20 years, just fucking give up. But apparently it was solved after 57 years. So, don't listen to me, I guess. Also, Star Wars.
Man was arrested on charges involving multiple boys. He was already a known predator with a long and disturbing history that included time behind bars and stints in psychiatric institutions. But it was what police found in his home that truly shook them. His 2-story wood frame house at Frank Street and Simon Block yielded 2 truckloads of
Frank Street on Simon Block. Okay. Every name so far sounds fake, but I'll play ball.
Evidence. Among the items discovered, articles in magazines about crimes done to minors, bags and boxes filled with adult media, female rubber dolls, newspaper clippings about Maurice Chivarala's murder, stored among a collection of CP. The implied connection was there. This wasn't just a man with a sick obsession. This was someone who had fixated on Maurice's case for years, keeping her memory buried inside the most depraved corners of his home. For a moment, investigators thought the source of this nightmare might finally have a name. In court, Conrad was visibly unstable. He slammed his head onto the desk and yelled, "Look how I'm being treated! Like an animal!"
You're telling me that a guy who has CP is insane? No. Also, his name is fucking Chester. Come on.
He insisted he belonged in a hospital.
He was screwed from birth.
Not a jail. And when his bail was set higher than expected, he spiraled further. "If I go to jail, they will kill me, or I will end my life." But in the end,
they probably
nothing
would kill you in
connected
jail.
him to her case. No confession, no witnesses, no physical evidence linking him to the crime. In 1986, Conrad was officially ruled out. Another disturbing figure discarded
His mental
as a
illness
suspect.
caused it.
Another terrifying truth uncovered. But still, no justice. The Pennsylvania State Police would revisit the Chivarala case annually. They collected and preserved evidence. They tried to match DNA from bodily fluid left on Maurice's clothing by the murderer once the technology became available, but it led nowhere. No match ever came up in the National CODIS database. And through it all, the file drawers kept filling. 9,000 contacts made, over 4,700 pages of police reports, tens of thousands of miles traveled by over 250 investigators across nearly 6 decades. And still, nothing. The town changed, people moved away, memories faded, but the
Why does a 6-year-old look like he's 50? What the fuck?
Chivarala family never stopped hoping. Maurice's siblings, now adults with families of their own, kept her memory alive. They gave interviews, shared her story. They never asked for revenge, just the truth. But eventually, that seemed impossible. For nearly 6
then
decades,
Reddit was
Maurice's
created.
mother, Mary Chivarala, lived with the quiet ache of a wound that never healed. She had been the one to kiss Maurice goodbye that morning. the one who later wept into her husband's arms as her daughter's small white coffin was carried through Most Precious Blood Church, and for the rest of her life, she carried an unresolved grief. Mary was a knitter, a devoted churchgoer, a woman who loved her shopping trips, her cruises, and the simple joys of being outdoors. She worked at Geisler Knitting Mill in RCA. Later, she helped run Chivarella Transportation Incorporated, the family business. Her husband, Carmen Chivarella, passed in 2006. He had run the Little Market, the small grocery next door to their home on Alter Street. He died never knowing who had taken his daughter. Then, Mary passed away in 2014 at the age of 90.
Did Mary know?
8 years before anyone would know the name and face of the man responsible. But neither of them ever gave up hope. Neither of them stopped being Maurice's parents. And even as the decades passed and the trail grew colder, their family never stopped believing that one day someone would find the truth. And turns out they were right. But I don't think they would have ever guessed that that someone would be a
Reddit
teenager
mod
from New Jersey. It was February 2020 when the Pennsylvania State Police received an email that, at first glance, probably seemed a little odd. It came from an 18-year-old college freshman named Eric Schubert. "Hello, my name is Eric. I do genealogical research. I've seen the cold case involving Maurice Chivarella and the unidentified DNA. I may be able to help." Eric didn't work for the FBI. He didn't have a PhD. He wasn't even old enough to order a drink. But
Okay, PhD means very little. Being able to work at the FBI just means he'd cover up Epstein files. So, to be honest, him not having those two things is probably actually better.
he did have was a gift. A sharp analytical mind that could do something most people couldn't even begin to understand. Some cases he solved in under 10 minutes. Others took months. But for Eric, it was never about speed. It was about precision. Even as a kid, Eric's brain worked differently. He didn't just memorize facts. He organized them, cataloged them. His mother introduced genealogy to him to spend his time on since he was always at home. And in just 2 weeks, he had gotten the knack of it already. He began tracing family trees for fun. First his own, then his neighbors,
fun?
then
What?
strangers. At 18 years old, he had already spent 10 years honing his skills in genealogy. But Eric wasn't satisfied with family histories. He wanted to solve real-world mysteries. That opportunity came just before he graduated high school, when a Pennsylvania police department brought him on a case he still can't speak about. He cracked it, and that sealed it for him. Forensic genealogy was his path. In February 2020, he started reaching out to departments across the country. One of those emails landed in the inbox of Officer Anthony Petrovsky of the Pennsylvania State Police, offering his services free of charge. Included in the email was a link to Eric Schubert's website that, along with a history of his work and testimonials from past clients, displayed a picture of himself. Officer Petrovsky stated in an interview with FilmRise's Bloodline Detectives, and I mean no disrespect by this, but he looked like a child. And I thought to myself, I get a lot of emails every day. Could this be real? Despite his reservations, Petrovsky decided to give the kid a chance and invited Eric in for an interview. When it came time to meet the investigators, Eric treated it like a job interview. He wasn't there to impress them with words. He brought results. Armed with 10 years of genealogical experience, despite being only 18, he handed over references from 2 different police departments he had already helped on other cases. He plainly told the 2 investigators, "I can help solve this case." When speaking about that moment in the interview, Officer Petrovsky said,
"So you're going to start telling me about how important my family is?" It's crazy. I think just every bald person, there's like 3 archetypes of bald man. He's one of them. You have him, your John Tectones, and you're like crackheads.
He wasn't being cocky when he said that. He was being confident. And there was something about that confidence in an 18-year-old who shows up at a coffee shop drinking apple juice, giving us his resume, showing us his work. It was impressive. Needless to say, at that moment, they believed that Eric was the real deal. That a prodigy sitting right in front of them. For the first time in a long time, hope wasn't just a word. It had a face. It had a name. Eric. They didn't hand him the entire case file, of course, but they gave him what mattered. A partial DNA sample from the suspect, and a few potential matches. That was more than enough for Eric to dive in. The DNA sample came from the crime scene in 1964, bodily fluid left on Maurice's clothing. It had been preserved for decades, but it had never matched anyone in CODIS, the FBI's criminal DNA database. Eric Schubert, however, didn't need the killer's
his own
DNA to be in the
database.
database in order for him to solve this mystery. And what made this possible now wasn't just Eric's skills and determination, it was science and technology. When Maurice was murdered in 1964, DNA testing didn't exist. Not until 1986 did DNA evidence begin to be used in courts, and even then, the technology was primitive. It couldn't do what was needed here. But in the 2010s, the rise of forensic genealogy changed everything.
Yep.
For the first time,
Genetic-
it allowed investigators.
Not genetic crosses. What is it called? Genetic. Oh fuck! I don't remember now. Hold on. Genetic. I'm blanking. I can't remember what it's called. The actual
to
name.
trace DNA through families, reaching people who had never committed a crime but were related to someone who had. This was the science Eric used, a brand new frontier of criminal justice that wasn't even imaginable when the investigation into Maurice's murder began in 1964. He uploaded the profile to GED Match and Family Tree DNA, public genealogy databases used by people building family trees. Suddenly, Eric was looking at thousands of partial matches. Not direct relatives, distant cousins, great-great-grandchildren of someone the killer was also related to. Each person on that match list had to be researched individually. Where did they live? Who were their grandparents? Did
That
their
takes
family
so much
tree
time.
overlap with any others? If two partial DNA matches shared a common ancestor, that meant the killer was probably descended from that same ancestor too. One by one, Eric started building family trees, connecting cousins, finding shared lines, eliminating dead ends, tracking marriages, births, siblings, hundreds of names, dozens of false starts. It was like trying to find one person in a forest by studying shadows. It's not just science, Eric said, it's instinct. You have to feel your way
It's
through
called
the web.
autism.
When he reached a manageable list, Eric handed it over to investigators. Detectives took the names and used traditional legwork, looking at birth dates, criminal records, residences, and timelines to eliminate those who couldn't have been involved. They cut it down even further. Finally, just 4 men remained, and only one of them was still alive. Undercover officers were sent to stake out the man's house, waiting for him to put out the trash so they could sift through his garbage for something to pull a DNA sample from. But after a few days of waiting with still no
He's
trash on
dead.
the curb, they decided to, just talk to the guy. After explaining the situation of the case and asking the man if he would be willing to give a sample for testing, the man agreed. And after testing, his DNA wasn't a 100% match. But that didn't end the trail. Instead, it pointed investigators toward his 2 brothers, and one of them fit everything.
Oh.
He had lived within walking distance of Maurice's home back in 1964, and he had a documented criminal past. Was it Albert Dennis, the man who had been asking multiple girls for directions to a nudist colony? Was it Matthew Douglas, who lived on the same street as Maurice and was charged with crimes against multiple boys? Was it Harold Rudolph Nicholas, the
It
man
was the
who lived just a
investigator.
block away from Maurice and took his own life the very day he was scheduled to take a lie detector test? Was it Chester Conrad, the man convicted of charges involving multiple boys who had obsessively collected newspapers involving Maurice's case?
Nah,
Each
Chester's
one
innocent.
had their moment under the spotlight. Each one seemed possible. Each one was ruled out. And in the end, it wasn't any of them, or any of the named men that filled over 1,000 pages of police reports.
You're telling me it
But
wasn't
it
a
was
skinwalker?
someone they had
Oh.
encountered before. Someone who had crossed paths with law enforcement multiple times. Someone who didn't hide. He just never stood out. But he should have. The final name was James Paul Fort, a 22-year-old bartender in Hazleton at the time of the murder. He lived 6 blocks from Maurice's home and directly across the street from the cemetery where she was later buried. But they couldn't come to a definitive conclusion that James Fort had been Maurice's killer on Eric's work alone. They needed proof. So the state police did something rare and controversial. They filed a request to exhume James Fort's body. A few months later, from deep beneath the soil, the truth finally came to light. Fort's DNA was a perfect match to the sample found on Maurice's clothing nearly 60 years earlier. When we got the call, there were no cheers, one officer said. There was just silence. Then, someone whispered, "We got him." When the name James Paul Fort was finally revealed to the public in 2022, many in Hazleton reacted the same way. Who? It was a name that had never appeared on the long list of suspects chased down over the decades, and yet he had been there all along. Fort had grown up in Hazleton. He graduated from Hazleton High School in 1959. In his yearbook photo, he looked like any other clean-cut teenager of the time.
All
His
blue-eyed and handsome, loves to sleep. Sports are his favorite. Wow. That's philosophical.
caption said he was interested in sports, but that his future was undecided. He didn't go far. In the 1960s and 70s, he lived at 118 West 14th Street. He also later had addresses at 745 and 770 North Laurel Street.
What's the point of moving if you're moving like 10 feet to the right, kid? Come on.
Both within a mile of the Chivarala home on Alter Street. The trailer he once lived in was destroyed in a fire in 2003, long after Fort had died. He was never married, never had kids, no stable job that lasted. He floated, but there was a darkness in him. Although James Fort had never appeared in the long list of suspects chased down by police over the decades, his image may have. As you may recall, back in 1964, police had released several
He
sketches
does look vaguely like Fort.
of unidentified men wanted for questioning after acting suspiciously around Hazleton in the days and hours surrounding Maurice's murder. One of those sketches, sketch number 3, was of a man who had reportedly entered a local women's home under false pretenses and attempted to assault her. Now, take a look at the sketch next to James Fort's high school photo. Now, there's no way to know for sure if this is the same man, but the resemblance is eerie. Both men were around the same age. Both had dark, full hair combed back. Both had a long, narrow jawline and pronounced cheekbones. Even their eyebrows and nose shape seemed to match. While police have never publicly commented on any similarities between James Fort and the man in sketch number 3, and this comparison is only our personal speculation, it raises a haunting possibility. Did they have the killer in their sights all along and just didn't know it? If sketch number 3 was indeed James Fort, it means the investigation came incredibly close to catching him, almost 60 years earlier. And it makes what happened later in 1974 feel even heavier, because perhaps if someone had made the connection when the sketch was originally released, another victim may have been spared. In April of 1974, 10 years after Maurice was killed, James Fort was arrested by the Pennsylvania State Police. The charge? Aggravated assault. According to the report, Fort had taken a 23-year-old woman to the Capri Lounge at Alter and 2nd Street, very close to the Chivarala's residence. They left around 4 a.m., and he offered to drive her home. But instead of taking her home, he drove into the woods, Stockton Mountain, a remote stretch in Hazel Township, and forced himself on her. By sheer luck, a truck pulled up behind them. Fort panicked and drove off, but instead of taking the woman home, he dropped her at the corner of West Broad and Vine Streets. Disoriented and shaken, she called the police immediately. He was charged with extremely serious charges, even by 1970s standards. But he struck a plea deal. Only the aggravated assault charge stuck, and Fort walked away with 1 year of probation. The more serious charges were quietly dropped in the plea deal, according to newspaper reports. And still, James Fort allegedly didn't stop there. Gina Donahue Connors came forward after the case was solved, bringing with her a chilling memory that haunted her for more than 5 decades. She was about 9 or 10 years old at the time, walking with a friend on Alter Street, just blocks from where Maurice had last been seen. A white car pulled up. The man inside leaned out the window and urged the girls to get in. "Come on, we'll give you a ride," he said. Gina declined. He pressed again. No, come on, we'll give you a ride." Alarmed, the girls ran to a nearby store and got help. The man drove off. At the time, no one connected the incident to the unsolved murder from years earlier. But when James Fort's face was revealed in 2022, Gina couldn't believe it. According to her, it was the same man. "My memory is just so vivid," she said. "I'm still shaking. I mean, even just thinking about it." It seems as though Fort had kept circling the same streets, the same corners, waiting for another chance to do the unthinkable again. In 1978, Fort was arrested again, this time for reckless endangerment, after neighbors on Manhattan Court and 11th Street reported a man running with a gun. Fort, along with 2 others, was charged. But that case went nowhere. The disposition is unknown, and still, no one connected the dots. No one thought to look back to 1964. No one thought, could this be the same man? For nearly 2 decades after Maurice Chivarala's murder, Fort lived among the people of Hazleton. He lived across the street from the cemetery where her body was buried. He likely walked past the little market on Alter Street, where Maurice once helped stock shelves for her father. He likely saw her photos in the newspaper, saw the decades of updates from investigators working tirelessly to find him, saw the pain, suffering, and fear that his actions brought upon his community, and said nothing. He died of a sudden heart attack at age 38 on May 16, 1980, while bartending at the Genetti Best Western Motor Lodge on Route 93 in Hazel Township. He was buried, mourned by few, forgotten by most, but not by DNA. When Pennsylvania State Police finally held the press conference in 2022 to finally name Maurice's killer, it was filled with reporters, microphones, camera crews, and the people who mattered most, Maurice's surviving siblings. They had waited nearly 6 decades for this moment, and when they spoke, it wasn't with anger, it was with quiet dignity. "We never sought revenge," one sibling said. "Only truth, only justice." They thanked the investigators, they thanked Eric Schubert, they thanked everyone who had refused to let this case be forgotten, but mostly, they remembered Maurice. Corporal Mark Barron, the man who inherited the case in 2017, choked up as he addressed the crowd. "We're told not to get attached to cases," he said, wiping tears. "But
Yeah,
how
he
can you
inherited
not
the case, he just did nothing. He inherited the case and a fucking 18-year-old solved it for him.
attached
That's
to this
great.
one?" He revealed that the Chivarala case had become one of the oldest cold cases in U.S. history to be solved through genetic genealogy, and he gave all credit to those who came before him. More than 20 members of the department had been in charge of the case since 1964. Over 4,700 documents were generated. Generations of troopers kept coming back to it, hoping for one clue, one break, one answer. And finally, they had it. The resolution of the Chivarala case was more than just a victory for science. It was a statement that no matter how long ago a crime was committed, the truth still matters. That victims don't get forgotten, not if the right people keep asking the right questions. And that sometimes, justice isn't swift, but it can still be delivered. Today, the Chivarala case is now part of a growing list of cold cases being cracked open not by guns or badges, but by DNA, genealogy, and diligent sleuths like Eric Schubert with a computer and determination. Dozens of other cases have since followed, and investigators across the country now work side by side with genealogists like Eric to find the names no one else could. Maurice's case was proof of concept and a rallying cry. When asked what made this case different, Eric Schubert didn't talk about the DNA or the family tree or the late nights staring at census data. He talked about Maurice. "She did something kind that morning," he said. "She wanted to bring fruit to her teacher. She just wanted to do something good, and I think that's what stuck with me the most. She deserved better,
out
and
of
if I
sheer
could help in any way
curiosity,
to give her that."
Does this kid just like have a Word document or something of just a bunch of cold cases that have never been, well, a cold case that have never been solved, and then just email, like DM fucking police stations, be like, "Hey, your guys are shit. Me? Nah, I'll do it."
Then how could I not? He doesn't consider himself a hero, just a guy who knew how to follow the breadcrumbs, a puzzle solver. But to Maurice,
Yeah, just a guy who's somehow smarter than the whole squad of detectives.
His family, he was something much more than that. All this time, the Chivarala family had lived with the weight of uncertainty, the constant background hum of grief, and while they had learned to live around it, that wound had never closed. But now, they had a name, a face, an answer. For the first time since that terrible day in March 1964, they knew who had taken their sister. At the press conference, Maurice's surviving siblings stood together, speaking softly but firmly about what the moment meant. "We have so many precious memories of Maurice," one said, "but at the same time, our family will always feel the emptiness and sorrow of her absence. Consequently, we will continue to ask ourselves, what would have been? What could have been? Our parents expressed their sentiments a long time ago," Ron Chivarella added. "They didn't want punishment or revenge. They wanted justice. Their parents, Mary and Carmen Chivarella, had both passed away before the case was solved. They had lived their lives without ever knowing who killed their daughter. And now, standing there, their children carried their hopes forward." The family also made sure to personally thank law enforcement, and especially the frontline team of
Why would you thank law enforcement? They didn't fucking do anything.
troopers who had never stopped working the case. Over the past 58 years, the Pennsylvania State Police have continuously worked this case, Ron said. "And a special thanks to the frontline team. Our family thanks you so much." And then, of course, they thanked the young man who had made the final breakthrough, the teenager who had shown up with nothing but a mind for puzzles and a heart for justice, Eric Schubert. Everything that had to go right did, Eric said, reflecting later. We just kept chugging forward with these really small DNA samples until we got the big fish, which we did in Mr. Fort. But it wasn't full closure. Not completely. As Ron Chivarella said, I don't have closure. It's all behind me. As Carmen said, we're all going to have memories of that horrible day. But for the first time in 58 years, the family had the truth. James Fort didn't face a courtroom. He never had to look the Chivarella family in the eye, never had to explain himself, never had to speak her name. He died in 1980, still a free man, never having faced any concrete repercussions for his actions. But justice doesn't always mean punishment. Sometimes it just means answers. And for the Chivarella family, for Hazelton, and for everyone who kept this case alive for 58 years, that answer was enough. Hazelton is not the same place it was in 1964. The town has changed, the stores have changed, the names on the mailboxes are different, even the little market is long gone. But the story of Maurice Ann Chivarella remains etched in its heart. For every child that walks to school, for every parent that cares for their children, for every detective with or without a badge who refuses to give up, she matters. If you enjoyed this video, then consider hitting the like button and subscribing to our channel. It's
in the comments real quick. I'll end stream piece part. Oh yeah. So this is entry level job. Uh-huh. Give me that. The fact a teenager, group crash. Possible cases, just need fresh eyes. How right, it cracked a 20-year-old cold case. Maybe I'll actually next thing I want to react, which will be probably not tomorrow, the day after, maybe. I want to start going through Warhammer lore. Skaven, I want to start with. I love the Skavens. Evil doesn't always find itself in the most obvious way, oftentimes unassuming and silent. Sure is, kid. Sure is. Okay, well, that was a decent test. Chat wasn't working, then it was, so that's good. The follow alert works. It is a bit loud, but it works. Everything, I believe, is working. So I'll do it again in a day or two, and I'll just do. Yeah, I think Grounding comes out here, so I'll probably play it here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we can do about 5 tests. 5 more tests. 5 more, 2 to 3 hours. Make sure everything's working. And then when Grounded 2 comes out, we have an actual start. Quote unquote. So, thank you for everyone who watched, even if only for about 5 minutes. Listen, the view's a view. I'll take a win where I can get it. And yeah, I should see you all in, probably not tomorrow, admittedly, but Monday. If not tomorrow, then Monday. So see you all then.